Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Roem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Roem, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to give the body an update on legislation that we passed 17 days ago out of the General Assembly, just a little over an hour ago, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to remove the deadline for ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment by a 232 to 183 vote. I only say that to also talk about the fact that in Virginia, what we're doing this year is being recognized across the country right now. And the impacts of the legislation that we are passing here in the Virginia General Assembly affect our constituents, affect the Commonwealth, and affect the country. When we deal with, Madam Speaker, your HB 1414, along with the companion legislation from Delegate Watts, and we deal with Longbridge, and we are actually adding that commuter bridge and those commuter tracks all throughout Virginia, you are opening up the East Coast for expanded Amtrak service all the way beyond just where we are, but all the way down to Florida, down to New Orleans, and everywhere in between. And when we're dealing with our budget right now that has money for the Port of Virginia in it, just like we saw when I was discussing with the Virginia Maritime Association folks this morning, we are dealing with something that will have global consequences, as the Port of Virginia is so vitally important, not just for the United States and our economic viability in Virginia, but all around the world. And meanwhile, the Virginia Values Act was just called blueprint legislation for LGBTQ equality in the South. The actions of the General Assembly matter so much because what we do and the text that we pass is not just symbolic. We don't introduce bills for symbolism. We don't introduce bills because we're trying to make a point. We introduce bills because we're creating public policy. And when I was knocking on doors in Yates Ford Precinct, my home precinct, I saw this one woman's house inside of her living room. There was a framed copy of a memorial resolution for her husband that was done years ago. Even the stuff that we consider the little things in this body matter so much to so many people. And the big things that we do reverberate across the country. And it's just that I ask us to keep that in mind as we pass our home cooking legislation, as we're passing stuff that affects the Commonwealth, and as we saw with HJ1 and SJ1, right, legislation that affects the United States. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The clerk will call the calendar.